Hello, and welcome to the Illinois SAT with Essay, PSAT 10, and PSAT 8-9 Pre-Administration and Rostering webinar for Spring 2023. Our goals today are to learn about conducting pre-administration sessions, creating rosters, and understanding the Non-Standard Administration Report, or the NAR. So let's start with what is a pre-administration session. A pre-administration session accomplishes many important pretest tasks, including gridding all required information for scoring, which is used as verification for what's on the pre-ID label, if one is applied to the answer sheet. Identifying where students want their for-free score reports to be sent for SAT with Essay. Students should indicate on their answer sheet the colleges, universities, and scholarship programs that will receive their score reports. This can't be done after test day. Opting into Student Search Service and completing the optional questionnaire. Please note, parental consent is required for students to opt into Student Search Service and to complete the optional questionnaire as part of the in-school SAT with Essay and PSAT 10 school day administrations. Sample consent forms can be found on the ISB SAT PSAT website in English and in 8 translations. Students have the opportunity to complete the entire questionnaire through their personal College Board account or by visiting the Student Search link at College Board directly if time does not allow for this to be completed in school. The pre-administration session allows students to complete the following activities directly on their answer sheet, saving time on test day. Gridding all required personal information in fields 1 through 8. Completing the optional student questionnaire, which requires parental consent, opting into Student Search Service, which also requires parental consent, and selecting up to 4 colleges or scholarship programs to receive their score reports, which does not require parental consent. The approximate times of each pre-administration session are shown on the slide. Sessions can be held during advisory periods, English or math classes, and even on test day. Conducting a pre-administration session is always optional, but highly recommended. Let's talk about the Student Search Service and consent for SAT with Essay and PSAT 10. Follow your district or school policy for collecting parental consent. Schools and districts may opt to use the consent form provided by the College Board and available in 8 foreign languages on the ISB SAT PSAT website, or may choose to use their own. Parental consent should be collected prior to the pre-administration session. Schools should collect consent from parents for students who wish to opt in to Student Search Service and complete the optional questionnaire. Consent is required only to opt in to Student Search Service and the questionnaire. Students can still take the SAT without completing this information. If a student doesn't return a consent form, the school should proceed assuming the parent did not consent. Consent forms should remain at the school until the student graduates and do not need to be returned to College Board. Consent forms are required annually. And now we'll discuss preparing for the pre-administration session. Your pre-administration materials arrive in their own shipment and are scheduled to arrive no later than 2 weeks prior to your primary test day. For March 22nd testers, you'll receive your pre-administration materials by March 2nd. And April 12th testers, including PSAT 10 and PSAT 8-9, will receive their pre-administration materials no later than March 16th. The contents include answer sheets, student answer sheet instructions, student guides, coordinator manuals, and for SAT with Essay, standard testing manuals and accommodated testing manuals. Pre-ID labels will be part of the pre-administration shipment if your students were included in the ISB SIS pre-ID file in January 2023. The label contains the student's 9-digit state-assigned student ID, or SAS ID, which the student will need when gridding the answer sheet. All students, with or without a pre-ID label, should be instructed to follow directions for gridding personal information on the answer sheet. Schools should be prepared to provide the student with their 9-digit SAS ID. Gridded data for answer sheets with a pre-ID label will be used as a verification. Here's some more information about pre-ID labels. If the first name or last name printed on the label doesn't correctly reflect the student's name as it appears in ISBE's Student Information System, or SIS, please don't use the label. Note that the label truncates very long names, so the label is okay to use if it doesn't match for this reason. If any other information is incorrect, including date of birth, SAS ID, or grade and test information, the label may be used, and this information should be corrected in ISBE's SIS. ISBE will send updated pre-ID files from SIS to College Board approximately 1 week prior to each school's SAT with SA primary test date. Note that these updated files will be used to match scores and will not trigger any test materials or additional pre-ID label orders. If you receive incorrect labels, labels for students no longer enrolled in your school, or labels for students who are not required to be tested, please shred or destroy these labels in a secure manner. Page 9 of the Coordinator Implementation Handbook contains guidance related to pre-ID label use. All students, regardless of whether they have a pre-ID label or not, must manually grid the following required fields on the answer sheet. On the cover page of the answer sheet, first and last name, school code, testing location, school using the 6-digit AI code, student ID number, which is the SAS ID, grade level, date of birth, gender, and test type for SAT with SA only. On the last page of the answer sheet, be sure that students grid in form code, test ID, and test book serial number. Apply pre-ID labels to the correct answer sheet type, standard or large block. You'll need the following to conduct your session: answer sheets with pre-ID labels affixed, blank answer sheets, student answer sheet instructions, SAT School Day, PSAT 10, and PSAT 8-9 student guides, and the SAT with SA testing manual, standard or accommodated, and the PSAT 10 and PSAT 8-9 coordinator manuals containing pre-administration instructions and scripts. Determine how you'll conduct your sessions, for example, in a class, in an assembly for students taking the test, or in small groups, and determine staffing needs. Conduct the session in school. Do not let students take the answer sheets home. To prepare your staff for the pre-administration session, meet with staff who will administer the sessions to distribute copies of the manuals and instruct them to become familiar with the pre-administration scripting. Provide the room assignment. Review roles and responsibilities of staff conducting the sessions. Review the materials students will use during the session, answer sheets, pre-ID labels, and student answer sheet instructions. And instruct staff to display the 6-digit AI code in a prominent place in the room for students to see. See the Prepare Your Pre-Administration Session section of the Coordinator Manuals for more details. Now let's look at preparing your students for the pre-administration session. Inform students of the scheduled session. Distribute the SAT School Day Student Guide to students. Inform students they'll need number 2 pencils for the session. Share information about the pre-administration session in advance so students can discuss with their families whether they'll opt into Student Search Service and complete the optional questionnaire, and which colleges they will select for their 4 free score sends. The student answer sheet instructions for SAT with SA are available on the ISBE SAT PSAT website. We encourage schools to share this document ahead of the pre-administration session so that students can discuss the optional questionnaire with their families. Sample SAT with SA PSAT 10 and PSAT 8-9 answer sheets are also available for your reference on the ISBE SAT PSAT website. Now let's discuss conducting the pre-administration session. When conducting the pre-administration session for SAT with Essay, plan for a duration of 45 to 60 minutes. Distribute the pre-labeled answer sheets to the students with the student answer sheet instructions. Make sure every student has the correctly labeled answer sheet. All students will complete Part 1, all personal information, including gritting in their first and last name, school code or AI code, testing location, school name, SAS ID, grade level, date of birth, gender, and the test name SAT with Essay. Part 2, Score Sends. Students will use the student answer sheet instructions to locate the codes for their colleges and/or scholarship programs they want to send their score reports to for free. This option is only available up to test day. And Part 3, the optional questionnaire. Students with parental consent should use the student answer sheet instructions to guide them in their responses. For the PSAT 10 pre-administration session, plan for a duration of 25 to 35 minutes. Distribute the pre-labeled answer sheets and a copy of the student answer sheet instructions for each student, making certain every student receives the correctly labeled answer sheet. All students will complete the following. Part 1, which includes gritting in all of their personal information, even if they have a pre-ID label, which includes their first and last name, school code or AI code, testing location, school name, SAS ID, grade level, date of birth, and gender. And Part 2, the optional questionnaire, which requires parental consent. Students should use the student answer sheet instructions to guide their responses. And for the PSAT 8-9 administration session, plan for a duration of 20 to 30 minutes. Distribute the pre-labeled answer sheets and a copy of the student answer sheet instructions for each student, making certain each student receives the correctly labeled answer sheet. All students will complete the following. Part 1, which includes gritting in all of their personal information, even if they have a pre-ID label, which includes their first and last name, school code or AI code, testing location, school name, SAS ID, grade level, date of birth, and gender. And Part 2, the optional fields. Students should use their student answer sheet instructions to guide their responses. After the session, proctors will collect all answer sheets and student answer sheet instructions. Confirm that all students have entered their 9-digit SAS ID accurately. For any students that left Field 5, Student ID Number, blank, enter their 9-digit SAS ID on the answer sheet and fill in the corresponding bubbles. Then return answer sheets to the test coordinator as instructed. Test coordinators need to organize the answer sheets by alphabetizing them within testing room groups before returning them to their boxes and securely storing them until test day. Track students who missed the session and plan a makeup session prior to test day if possible. The manuals also include instructions for assisting students to complete the student information and score sends on test day. And lastly, collect manuals from proctors for use on test day. Let's continue with creating and managing rosters. Test coordinators will need to develop a school-wide student list or roster of test takers for SAT School Day, PSAT 10, and PSAT 8-9. Each proctor will need a roster for their room. Test coordinators will need to return either the school-wide student list or the individual room rosters in their used answer sheet shipment. Test coordinators should make a copy and save the list in a safe location for 6 months after test day. In the event of an irregularity or discrepancy, test coordinators may need the list to respond to inquiries from Educational Testing Service, or ETS, or the College Board during an investigation. When creating rosters, you should create a school-wide student list. Pull the list of eligible students from your school student information system or work with your district assessment coordinator to obtain the list of students to be tested. It's recommended that you use the pre-ID report from ISBE's Student Information System, or SIS. The pre-ID report in SIS will continue to adjust in real time as students are enrolled in and exited from SIS. You may download the pre-ID report from SIS into a spreadsheet. If needed, contact the ISB SIS Help Desk at 217-558-3600, option 3, for assistance in accessing this report. You should continue to enroll any new students, including students who have recently transferred to your school. Ask your SSD coordinator to print a copy of the Nonstandard Administration Report, or NAR, from College Board's SSD online system. Use the NAR to identify the number of rooms that will be needed for students testing with accommodations. Add room and staff assignments to the school-wide student list. Once you've created your school-wide student list and assigned rooms and proctors, you should create a roster for each room. Divide your school-wide student list into individual room rosters for student testing and standard test rooms. You have the option to build room rosters for accommodated testing rooms or just use copies of the NAR. As test day approaches, continue to account for additional students who may be required to test, for example, students who recently transferred to your school. In addition, work with your Services for Students with Disabilities coordinator to identify students who may have recently been approved for accommodations or supports. Continue to update your school-wide student list and room rosters up to test day. With rosters, the use of testing room codes is optional but highly recommended. Assigning a unique code to each testing room allows you to organize answer sheets for pre-administration sessions and for distribution on test day. If a group irregularity occurs, the testing room code can help you pinpoint who may have been affected and which staff member or staff members can offer information for quicker resolution and release of scores. Let's take a closer look at the Nonstandard Administration Report, or NAR. The NAR provides a list of all students with approved accommodations for testing. SSD coordinators will access and print the NAR from College Board's SSD online dashboard. The NAR can be used as the room roster for accommodated testing, and the NAR is available now for planning purposes. For all assessments, the NAR includes a summary of students with their SSD identification numbers, a list of students who will test during the accommodated testing window, including students testing with state-allowed accommodations, or SAAs, a list of students who will test during the accommodated testing window, and a list of students who will test with SAAs during the accommodated testing window. Note, students testing with EL 50% extended time will be listed with other students approved for 50% extended time as a College Board approved accommodation. To generate the NAR, the SSD coordinator will log in to SSD Online and click Nonstandard Administration Report from the upper right corner of the home page. The NAR is available now continuously throughout the year for all assessments. New in 2023, the NAR has been updated to include all assessments and now has the capability to be exported into CSV in addition to PDF. The Nonstandard Administration Report includes testing group number to support room planning, the student's name and SSD number, a description of the approved accommodations, identification of what color test book a student must use for testing, and identification of one-day versus two-day testers. The NAR will display students who have been approved for accommodations at the school who have also been pre-identified in the pre-ID process. SSD coordinators will be able to add students with approved accommodations to the NAR to build a complete list of students taking the SAT with SA with accommodations as their requests become approved. For test coordinators and SSD coordinators, your next steps should include the following tasks. Create school-wide student list and room rosters. Monitor SSD Online for pending accommodations. Print the NAR and begin assigning rooms. Train your proctors. Await shipments. Then once shipments arrive, open boxes immediately and catalog the contents. Do not break shrink wrap. If anything is missing, contact customer service immediately. and schedule pre-administration sessions ahead of test day. If you have any questions, please contact the appropriate resources as listed on the screen or visit the ISB SAT PSAT webpage at the link provided. Thank you for your time today and good luck!